Roman emperors were often the architects of extreme violence, and there are numerous examples of ruthless, immoral, and downright cruel acts committed by them. But did these emperors ever feel bad about their actions? This video attempts to show a few examples where the primary sources record Roman emperors feeling remorse for their wrongdoing. A famous instance of imperial remorse is Nero's after killing his mother. Nero and his mother had long been involved in a power struggle, and eventually Nero grew too weary of his mother's influence. After having her killed, he is reported by many historical sources to have experienced a significant amount of guilt that affected his day-to-day functioning. All of the sources emphasise the night terrors he experienced. Tacitus explains that others congratulating him on being rid of his problematic mother was not enough to ease Nero's guilt, and that he remained very upset to the point of weeping. Suetonius makes pointed reference to stings of conscience that Nero experienced, and explains that Nero was harassed by both his mother's ghost and the Furies. He explains how Nero tried to elicit his mother's forgiveness through magical rites, and that he felt his guilt so strongly that he could not bring himself to stain the Eleusinian mysteries with his participation. Dio provides the detail that Nero changed his residence in a bid to escape reminders of his crime, often to no avail. The next example is an anecdote found in a work of the physician Galen. He tells us how the Emperor Hadrian once lost his temper with a slave and then struck him with a stylus. The slave subsequently lost an eye due to this attack. Although Hadrian's feelings aren't explicitly mentioned in the anecdote, Galen points out that Hadrian apparently felt sufficient remorse that he offered the slave whatever he wished as compensation. Unfortunately for Hadrian, the bold slave remarked that you can't put a price on a person's eye. This next account of remorse comes from a source close to the incident. At the beginning of his reign, Constantius II was a significant participant in a sizable political purge. This purge included many members of his cousin Julian's family. Later, Julian is declared Augustus by his troops while serving as junior emperor under Constantius II. In Julian's letter to the Senate and people of Athens, seeking to win their support in the upcoming civil war with his cousin, Julian elaborates on the way Constantius mistreated his family and lets us in on a curious piece of imperial gossip. Julian states that he was informed that Constantius was stung by remorse for his previous actions, and that Constantius believed that his inability to produce children and the brutal and indecisive war with the Sassanids was his punishment for his involvement in the murders at the start of his reign. Julian also tells us that Constantius tried to lessen this burden via shifting responsibility for these murders onto others. The last instance of imperial remorse that this video will cover is a puzzling one, and it concerns the Emperor Theodosius. During Theodosius' reign, there was unrest in the city of Thessalonica. Exactly what transpired is difficult to parse from our existing sources. Sozomen states that the Magister Militum of Illyria was killed by locals when trying to deliver justice against a popular charioteer who had forced himself on a cupbearer. Subsequently, this killing was met with a harsh response from troops in Thessalonica, which led to a sizable slaughter of the civilian population. What measures Theodosius ordered, and to what extent the actions of the troops actually reflected this order, is uncertain. Regardless, from Ambrose's letters we know that Theodosius did not initially show remorse, but at the urging of Bishop Ambrose undertook a remarkable show of penance for his actions, and did not wear his imperial adornments in church, nor receive the holy mysteries until this penance was carried out. Theodoret's account is dramatic, and certainly an exaggeration. He also probably invents details, such as Theodosius being blocked at the church door by Ambrose personally. The account paints a pathetic image of the remorseful Theodosius, who apparently wept, tore out his hair, and struck himself on his head. Overall, it is uncertain how responsible Theodosius actually was, how guilty Theodosius actually felt, and how much of this penance was a political maneuver in order to placate outraged clergy and citizens, and to maintain Theodosius' image as a pious Christian prince.